Hello everybody and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you today? So today we'll be talking about romantic comedies in Korean television. So the first question is, what really is a romantic comedy? Are all K-dramas romantic comedies? No, they are not. And if you thought they were just because they have comedy and romance, I am here to prove you wrong. So, what is a romantic comedy? A romantic comedy is a subgenre of both romance and comedy in which the main dramatic or the most important dramatic issues all revolve around romance. So the purpose of a rom-com is to portray a love that can overcome all obstacles, and of course its characters and the dating rituals that they engage in, they are very relatable. Of course, the difference between a melodrama and a rom-com is that the rom-com gets rid of the sensationalism of the melodrama and focuses on a more enjoyable, more lightweight approach to romance and to its characters. So the golden age of romantic comedies is considered to be the 90s in Hollywood. But that was also when Korea started making romantic comedies. Why? Because in the 90s, Korean society was going through a lot of changes. And up until the 90s, the dominant genre on both TV and cinema was the melodrama. The melodrama is a very emotional genre, and the stories, the melodrama stories in Korea were based pretty much on the old-fashioned concept of family. But in the 90s, with the modernization of the economy and of the social fabric, this old idea of family started falling apart, and melodramas started losing its power. So what happened was, filmmakers realized that through comedy and also thriller, they could not only represent society more accurately and more engagingly, but also comedy and thriller allow them to raise questions and discuss topics that they weren't able to do so before. So Park Yoo-hae explains in the Korea Journal, in a marvelous essay called From the Era of Melodrama to the Age of the Comedy and the Thriller, the Simultaneous Transformations of Korean Society and Film Genre from the 90s to the present. She says, while thrillers, for example, have the goal and duty of revealing the criminal and all the circumstances surrounding the crime, comedies can end in laughter without providing answers as long as no one is egregiously wounded. Therefore, when unconventional and fresh discussion is necessary, only comedy is allowed to engage in it freely without the need to foster a social consensus. And when comedy is combined with romance, which has an affinity with melodrama, a distance from the existing melodrama genre is secured, and the moral scaffolding of melodrama can be replaced by a radical depiction of the issues in question through humor. So pretty much, comedy allowed Koreans to offer questions related to society, related to the world we live in, without needing to provide answers. And then in the 90s, in 1992, a newspaper used the term romantic comedy for the very first time. Do you know what happened in 1992 on Korean television? MBC released its very first rom-com. So Jealousy, which was a show aired on MBC in 1992, is considered to be the very first rom-com K-drama. If we watch Jealousy now, you're gonna say, oh my god, this is full of cliches. because they pretty much invented the cliches in Korean television. So jealousy was revolutionary back then. Viewership ratings reached 52%, because it was the first time that Korean audiences could watch a show that they related to. Jealousy pretty much got rid of the narrative structure of the melodrama to introduce a lot of tropes that, okay, now we love and hate them, but back then they were completely new. So childhood friends to lovers, love triangle, unrequited love, and of course the comic misunderstandings that rom-coms have. Jealousy offered that to a Korean audience for the very first time. And of course, it portrayed the lives of young adults in their 20s and 30s in a more realistic way, which made the audiences, especially female viewers, identify themselves with the characters, especially with the female lead. So jealousy created a mode for all these rom-coms that we watch to this day. From the 90s, Korean television and cinema realized this potential in comedy, and they started adding comedy to pretty much everything because it allowed them to discuss difficult topics in an accessible way, let's say. What happened was, and what has happened ever since, is that Korea got really good at creating genre blending shows. So you have a lot of shows that combine different genres like comedy, romance, thriller, crime, fantasy. Problem is that at the same time that it creates lots of very good shows, it creates a lot of misconceptions. So you have a lot of people believing that every single K-drama is a rom-com when it isn't. I was having a chat with my partner the other day about Crash Landing on You. He has never watched it. Then he turns to me and says, "But isn't Crash Landing on You a rom-com?" No, it's not. It's a romantic dramedy, tops. Or for example, Daily Dose of Sunshine, one of my favorite shows ever. It was nominated for International Emmy Awards. I was very happy about that, for Best Comedy. But Daily Dose of Sunshine is a magical drama. Or Goblin, for example, Hotel de Luna. They are not rom-coms, they are romantic fantasies. Or 2521 is a coming-of-age drama. The Reply series, for example, is a family drama. They are not rom-coms. So we need to, before we talk about very good rom-coms that come from Korean television, we need to talk about, we need to analyze them and identify which of them really are rom-coms. Disclaimer before I start my list, you will see that I didn't add any of the old rom-coms, like early 2000s, early 2010s, because it was a moment in Korean television that romantic comedies were very soapy, they were very melodramatic. And I think it sort of loses its power as a romantic comedy. Not just that, lots of them didn't really age that well. So some of the jokes, they wouldn't work now. So that's why I decided to start from pretty much 2015 onwards. Of course, if you love more melodramatic rom-coms, I also have a list for you. But let's start from 2015 onwards. Don't expect any names from me. I am terrible when it comes to names. I'll try to remember some of the important ones. Alright, so shall we start with number 1? Because My First Life. Because My First Life is a TVN show that aired in 2017. It was, well, it's considered to be heavily inspired by TBS's The Full-Time Wife Escapist, which is a Japanese drama that aired the year before on TBS. It pretty much tells the story of a young girl who wants to become a screenwriter, and then she finds herself unemployed. She doesn't want to go back to her parents' house because she comes from a very patriarchal family. Then she rents a room in the apartment of this guy who is single, and pretty much the show explores their relationship as well as the relationships of her two best friends. So you have three different relationships that explore different sides and different kinds of relationship, which is really nice. Because My First Life is a fantastic show that discusses the meaning of love, the meaning of marriage, and the meaning of personal happiness. The first 14 episodes, they are almost perfect. The script is airtight. Character arcs are very, very, very well structured. The dialogue is excellent. The pacing is excellent. I think we have to highlight here Lee Min-gi's performance, who plays the male lead, Se-hee. His performance is excellent. His character goes through the greatest character arc in this show, and his performance is just, he delivers a nuanced, complex Se-hee. It's just amazing to watch. I think the only flaw in Because My First Life is that the last two episodes are not as perfect as the first 14, but let's say they are an average ending to an almost perfect show. The thing with Because My First Life is that it's an entertaining show. You laugh a lot, you cry a little bit. It is moving at times. It gives you three great couples, but even though it delivers this script with a lightness of touch, it never forgoes narrative depth, and it never shies away from discussing very difficult topics such as sexual harassment or gender stereotypes. So it's fun, it's entertaining, but at the same time, Because My First Life is very thought-provoking. So it's one of my favorite shows ever, and I think it's a very, very, very well-made rom-com. So make sure to watch it. You can find it on Netflix. Number 2 is SBS's 30 but 17, which aired in 2018. So 30 but 17 is slightly more dramatic than the other shows in this list, but it still ticks all the boxes of a great rom-com. The story is the story of this girl who used to play the violin, and then when she was 17, she suffers an accident, she falls into a coma. She wakes up 13 years later, now in the body of a 30-year-old woman, but with the mind of that 17-year-old from years back. And when she goes back to her family home, she meets the guy that currently lives there, who is a very introverted guy, because he also went through some difficult things growing up. And now they pretty much help each other grow up, let's say. I think 30 but 17 is at the same time sweet, but not overly melodramatic. It's innocent, but mature, and is an incredibly uplifting story. So the themes, the show develops themes of hope, change, and forgiveness through this main couple that they are just fantastic. The performances are great, but the chemistry between them, the characters, they develop a very, very good relationship as well. So 30 but 17 is a very, very moving show, and at the same time very funny. Don't think, feel. It's hilarious. It just stays with you forever. Now, 30 but 17 has serious problems with pacing. And it does tend to overuse flashbacks a bit too much, so some viewers might not have the patience for it, but at the same time, if you stick with it, it's really worth the journey, and it makes you think about your own life, about the things that you still carry from your past and things that you need to learn to let go. So yeah, 30 but 17, a wonder of a show. Do watch it. It's on, I think it's on Viki, I think it's on Netflix, and it's also on YouTube as well. Next, number 3, What's Wrong with Secretary Kim? I think everybody has at least heard of What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. It was a show that aired on TVN in 2018 as well. It pretty much tells the story of Miso, who is a secretary. She's very dedicated, very hardworking, very intelligent, and she works with this narcissistic boss who, well, she has pretty much dedicated 9 years of her life to this guy, helped him grow in the company, become the VP. And after 9 years putting up with this fella, she decides to quit because she wants to focus on herself. And then her boss realizes that maybe he can't live without her, not because of the work part, but because of the personal part. That maybe his feelings are a little bit different from what he initially thought. Now, classic secretary boss romance, I understand that. And the show, the script is nothing groundbreaking, nothing innovative, but at the same time it manages to subvert some of the rich man, poor woman tropes, and that's very refreshing to watch. But I think what makes What's Wrong with Secretary Kim such an indispensable watch is the humor. It's full of hilarious shenanigans from beginning to end. The supporting cast is excellent, very funny, but also very charming. Absolutely love them. So I think you start watching because of the main couple, but you slowly fall in love with everybody else. Also because I like that the show 100% focuses on romance, so the main dramatic issue definitely revolves around romance. But of course, with 20 hours of running time, you need a little bit more, otherwise it's just a stretch. So you have a more dramatic plot line that fits the show very well. And I think it gives more substance to the show. But you just have to watch What's Wrong with Secretary Kim for the backpack couple. Come on, they have, I think they were one of the best couples in the history of Korean television. So yes, I think What's Wrong with Secretary Kim is a great example of what a rom-com should be. Lighthearted, funny, engaging, but also heartwarming as well. So What's Wrong with Secretary Kim is on Viki, if I am not mistaken. Because I'm telling you all of these, but you can check our post. So this video is also a post on the Blossom review, and I tell you exactly where you can find all these shows. Okay, let's go for the next one. Number 4, The Secret Life of My Secretary. The Secret Life of My Secretary is an SBS show that aired in 2019. And then you're gonna say, Karen, another secretary boss romance. Yes, but this is a very good rom-com too. So the story is even simpler than What's Wrong with My Secretary Kim. You have this adorable secretary, very hardworking, a little bit clumsy, very outspoken. She works with this perfectionist boss. And then when he starts facing problems at work, so personal problems and also at work, their relationship starts to change. I love The Secret Life of My Secretary because of its simplicity. So The Secret Life of My Secretary is a very innocent, fairy tale-like sort of approach to rom-com. But the thing is, the script sets out to tell one story, and that's what they tell. You don't have random, extra, unnecessary conflict added to the story. This is the story we are trying to tell. So this is the problem. This is how the problem develops. and this is a final, you know, you have the final conflict at the end and you have a resolution. That's it. The story, of course, you're gonna say, oh, but Karen, it's just a romance between a boss and a secretary. But they introduce a twist. I don't want to say what it is in case you haven't watched it. They introduce a twist right in the beginning of the show that gives this extra allure to the show, but also allows them to explore the main theme of the show, which is forgiveness and empathy, in a very thought-provoking, heartwarming way. Especially in the last few episodes. The theme is very, very clear in the last few episodes and very well developed throughout. And the performances are great. The pacing is very good as well. But I think the best thing about The Secret Life of My Secretary is female characters. They are so well written. From Gali, who is the main, the female lead, to the iconic Veronica Park. They are complex beings who are both sensible and foolish. They are innocent but outspoken. They are excellent. They are fantastic. And the best thing is, there is no weird competition between them. There is no strange relationship between the female characters in the show. No, they create excellent bonds. They support each other, and it's beautiful to watch that. The Secret Life of My Secretary is the sort of show that, you know, relaxes you because there is no exaggerated drama, but at the same time, it makes you think about certain things. And it's just a lovely show, really. And I think you can watch it on YouTube. You can also watch it on Netflix, and I don't remember if it's also on Viki, but yeah. So make sure to watch it. It's an excellent. It leaves you with that fuzzy, warm feeling inside. So it's a great watch on a cold day. Number 5, Touch Your Heart. Touch Your Heart is a TVN show that aired in 2019. The thing is with Touch Your Heart is that I celebrated this show so much when it came out because I'm a huge Goblin fan. And for me, the two main couples from Goblin, they are two of the best couples in the history of Korean television, along the Pak Pak couple. So when I heard that Lee Dong-wook and Yoo In-ah were going to do a rom-com together, I was like throwing a party to celebrate it. Not a joke. And they deliver the greatest rom-com ever, in a sense that this is a pure rom-com. So this is 100% lighthearted, feel-good sort of show. So Touch Your Heart tells the story of this actress who can't really act. She is gorgeous, but she's terrible at acting. Then she finds it difficult to find new roles. And then she hears that this very famous screenwriter needs an actress to play a legal secretary. She decides to work as a legal secretary in real life to sort of gain the experience to deliver a more realistic portrayal. And she's assigned to this sort of cold-hearted sort of lawyer who is not happy to have her around. I think the greatest thing about Touch Your Heart is it's a show that they don't want any melodrama, they don't want any, you know, awful conflict. No, they have a bunch of characters, and even though the main couple, they have this sort of perfection sort of aura around them, the rest of the cast, they are very relatable. Their struggles are very relatable. So you sort of relate, even though there is this distance between you and the main couple because they are so perfect in a way. The supporting cast, you relate to them, and that brings you closer to the show. But the theme of the show, which is sincerity and communication, is so very well developed through the connections that these characters create with each other and how they help each other grow and achieve their goals. So it's the sort of show that you watch with a huge smile on your face, because it's just so optimistic, a little bit, let's say, even almost utopian, this fantastic universe in which, you know, things can always get better, we can always find solutions for everything. But it's such an optimistic watch. And the main couple is like the cutest thing you ever see. And alongside the couple from The Secret Life of My Secretary, they are also like the cutest and most adorable thing. But Touch Your Heart is worth a watch if you like feel-good rom-com. So you're there to squeal a little bit with the main couple and laugh sometimes. And well, it's a very soothing, relaxing watch. And I must confess that the final scene from the last episode of Touch Your Heart, it lives rent-free in my mind. I've watched it a million times and it's just there. It's just there forever. So make sure to watch Touch Your Heart. It's on Viki and on Netflix as well. So make sure to check it out. All right, next, let's talk about Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha, which is a K-drama that aired on TVN in 2021. I have mentioned Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha several times here. It's the story, it's actually a remake of a feature film, so 2004's Mr. Hong. It tells the story of this dentist who decides to move to this seaside village and open her practice there. And there she meets a jack of all trades who helps her adapt to this new life. But of course, their relationship at first is a bit but with time, they start to understand each other, let's say. Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is a show, if you analyze the script, you're gonna find flaws in it for sure. But I like Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha because it explores themes of family, loss, and new beginnings. It's a show that reminds us of the natural cycles of life, of the courage that we sometimes need to start again, and that sometimes we need to forgive ourselves in order to move on. I think what makes this show work so well is actually the main leads, Shin Min-ah and Kim Se-yeon. I said it correctly, right? Love of my life, I love him so much. The two of them, they deliver such an incredible performance. They give extra depth and they strengthen the script in a way that only a very talented performer would. So it proves how great they are as actors. And I don't think Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha would have worked as well with different actors leading the show. But I think something that makes Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha special as well is that they decided to use the seaside village of Gongjin as a main character in the story. So the village itself facilitates the creation of bonds between characters. It gives people space for self-discovery, and it also allows the characters to work through their grief and celebrate their joys. Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha also counts on an excellent supporting cast, and most of these characters, they have a very specific purpose. They all help strengthen the main storyline as well as highlight the themes of the show. The finale is a little bit too perfect, but well, we can have, yeah, I mean, in a show, we can have a fairy tale sometimes, can't we? But it's beautiful to look at. Cinematography is excellent. It's vibrant, the colors are beautiful. And I think Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is the perfect show when you need a place to go to where you will find people that will support you and, you know, will give you the courage to face another day. So Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha is on Netflix. All right, next one is Business Proposal. Business Proposal is an SBS show that aired in 2022. It was a major hit. I think probably everybody knows Business Proposal. But why was it such a major hit? I think that Business Proposal not only benefits from the strength of the two main couples, that their relation, they are so charismatic and their relationship is so chemistry filled that it's just impossible to stop watching it. But, you know, if you get the plot, it's a very simple story of this girl who, you know, her life is okay. You know, she has a good job, she's all right, she has a crush on this guy. She finds out that the guy is currently dating somebody else. So she accepts to go on a blind date, pretending to be her friend, because her friend wants to be rejected. So she goes on this blind date. Problem is, her blind date is the CEO of her company, who is sick and tired to be sent to blind dates by his grandfather. So he decides to propose to the first girl that comes to him. And the first girl that comes to him is the main lead, is the female lead. But the secret with Business Proposal is that they knew that you've seen a business proposal like story a million times in your life. They knew that. And they took advantage of it. So they gathered all these cliches, all these romantic comedy cliches, put them all together and twisted all of them, and chose some of them to play around a little bit. And that's the secret. They don't take themselves seriously at all, like zero. And that's important. They make fun of themselves. And if you as the audience, if you take it seriously, if you don't laugh at the face of the rom-com in the same way that the show does, and instead take it seriously, it poisons the experience. And I think it sort of leads to the only flaw of the show. So in the last 2 episodes, they decided to use these cliches in a more literal way, a more ineffective way. And that sort of, it doesn't work that well. But it still gives a very nice, cute, happy ending to our couples. But the last 2 episodes, they are not as strong as the rest of the show. Business Proposal is loud, exaggerated, quirky, and cringe on purpose. And you just have to enjoy the ride. I mean, guys, you know I have no chingu. It's just hilarious. So make sure to watch it. It's also on Netflix. Now, the next one is a bit of a surprise addition for me, because this was a show that I completely ignored when it came out, and I watched it very recently, but I was pleasantly surprised. I'm talking about the Netflix original Love to Hate You from 2023. Love to Hate You is a bit of a refreshing watch because you have a female lead that you don't see often in Korean television. Love to Hate You, the plot is very simple, so it's pretty much this lawyer who she is very outspoken. She is all about social justice. She ends up being hired by this company. They only have men in there, and they defend celebrities, you know, in celebrity scandals, divorce, etc., etc. Not her thing at all, but she needs the money, so she starts working there, and there she meets this celebrity, this guy who is known for his talent, but also for being incredibly kind and sweet. And she hears him, she overhears him making what she thinks is a misogynistic comment, and then she decides to reveal his real face, his true face to the world. And Love to Hate You is this love-hate relationship that they develop. The thing with Love to Hate You, and why did I include it in this list? Because Love to Hate You creates this resounding, vibrant environment that feels so realistic. It feels like you're just watching life. You know, the environment is you feel like it's bright and it pulls you into that universe. But not only that, the thing that I like the most about Love to Hate You is Miran, who is the female lead, because she is definitely not your everyday female lead, especially in a Korean rom-com. She is stubborn, she's incredibly flawed. She's very sure of her convictions, and she's there to defend women, and she's there to defend women's right to have their desires, not only emotional desires, but sexual desires as well, physical desires. So she is a breath of fresh air, to be honest, and I love her. I love the show is full of cliches. Yes, but I love that the relationships that are established in the show are all based on mutual respect, and this is very nice to see. I like the bits and pieces of, these questions that they raise throughout the show about society, about women, about relationships, and I think it's worth a watch. Because it's something very different, and it was very refreshing to see a different show. It's a very fast-paced show. Maybe they would have benefited from more episodes to develop the story better, but it's still very much worth a watch. It's of course on Netflix. All right, and now to number 9 is JTBC's My Sweet Mobster that aired this year actually. I think in the past few years it's been difficult to find, because of this genre blending quality that Korean television has. It's been difficult to find a rom-com that is properly a rom-com, and I think My Sweet Mobster ticks all the boxes. I actually, to be honest, when the show came out, I didn't care very much about it. I was like, that sounds very cheesy. That's gonna be very difficult to pull off. An ex-mobster, a kid's content creator. What is this? So I wasn't very much. Yeah, it took a while to persuade me, but I was so pleasantly surprised when I started watching, because it was a rom-com through and through. And it was just an enjoyable ride. So My Sweet Mobster tells the story of this guy who used to be a mobster. Now he has a company and he hires ex-convicts because he wants to help them, become part of society once again after they leave prison. And he meets this girl who is a kids content creator who is currently struggling, but she's very passionate about her job. And they help each other build better lives, pretty much, for themselves. Once again, not a complex sort of script, but with a lot of heart, and it discusses themes of kindness, the human ability to change. This is a very, very strong theme in the story, and also something that Korean dramas don't do very much, the difference between responsibility and sacrifice. Because Korean dramas have this tendency to show sacrifice. I need to sacrifice myself for the sake of whoever. But in My Sweet Mobster, it's not about sacrifice, it's about responsibility. And that makes the show unique, I would say. The main couple is the most adorable thing. I think we have to highlight Tae-goo's, I think, performance. He plays the male lead because he is known for his thriller roles. He usually plays characters, like very serious characters in films related to thriller, crime. And here, he's like this super serious guy who is a little cupcake, guys. He's so charming and wonderful. Just unbelievable. He's fantastic in this show. But I think My Sweet Mobster, it's very well paced. The dialogue is very witty. Excellent use of cinematography and visual effects for, you know, comic purposes. And the supporting cast, you just fall in love with them. They are so charming and hilarious. The show is hilarious. It's full of hilarious shenanigans throughout, and you just enjoy the ride. I like the way that they didn't subvert the tropes in the cliches, in the way the Business Proposal did, but they did deal with it, like the childhood friend, the love triangle. They dealt with these tropes in a very mature way, and I really like it. It showed quite a bit of, you know, a nice character arc that doesn't depend on total transformations, but it reflects the theme of responsibility that comes from the show. And also human ability to change. This is a very important topic in the show. So My Sweet Mobster, I have watched the finale of My Sweet Mobster at least 2 or 3 times. It's just so enjoyable, and at the same time the main couple is so adorable that you want to keep watching them. So My Sweet Mobster is on Viki. Make sure to check it out. Now we have a series of other rom-coms that I haven't mentioned. King the Land, for example, that was very popular, has its problems when it comes to the script, but the main couple chemistry is off the charts there. Juno. Guys, for Juno, please watch Just Between Lovers. Not a rom-com, but I think one of his best shows for sure. We had Her Private Life, which was excellent as well, TVN. It has its problems when it comes to the script, a little bit melodramatic at times, but I think Her Private Life stands out for portraying such a healthy relationship between the leads. We also had Cling with Passion for Now, that it has a lot of problems when it comes to the script and the portrayal of OCD as well. But the main couple, no, because guys, he's so tall and she's so short, and it's adorable to see them together. I've watched some scenes from Cling with Passion for Now. I have watched them a million times, to be honest. I'll confess this. Let's see, what else do we have? We have Jugglers as well. Very simple. Very, very simple show, but it's a good rom-com, especially if you're just looking for something relaxing to watch on a cold day. I would recommend Jugglers as well. Why am I adding all these titles here? Because number 10 is up to you. I wanted to hear from you. What is your favorite rom-com? What would you consider to be a proper rom-com? Share in the comments your favorite rom-coms and where we can watch them, and why do you think they are so good? So let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And I wanted to tell you about a couple of other rom-coms that are coming up. So for example, we have Can This Love Be Translated coming up. We have in November Brewing Love as well. So do you have any rom-coms that you're looking forward to watching in the future? Let me know as well. For this list, I've posted it in article format on the Blossom Review. You will find the link in the description. And tomorrow we will also have a link because, well, Halloween's coming. So I decided to create a list with the 10 must-watch Japanese and Korean horror films that you should watch before Halloween. So make sure to check it out if you like horror movies. Not my sort of thing, but you know. I'm too much of a scaredy cat, guys. Well, I hope you like the video. I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see you here next Thursday for a new video. Well, I hope you have a fantastic day today, and I'll see you very soon.